Scarpelli,
Here.
Solomon,
Here.
Meyer,
Here.
Apke,
Here.
Stenick,
Here.
Bernstein, Schock, Musket. I see Regina, but she's on mute. And Brewer.
Here.
Here.
Okay.
Was that everybody? Did I hear Sue Holloman?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Okay, so we have a quorum.
Yes.
First item of business is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting, which are dated July 9th of 2002. Any comments, questions, or a motion to approve?
Chairman Brewer, I have some comments.
Okay.
The first comment is I don't believe the meeting started until about 7:17, according to my records. If you recall, we had trouble with Commissioner Apke getting on and a couple others due to the link not working correctly. I believe at about 7:07 may have been when the village attorney made the announcement that he felt that the meeting could continue to proceed. But I just think the minutes should probably reflect the difficulty that there was with the link not working, as well as the attorney's comments stating that he felt we could continue with the meeting. And then as from my notes, I have that we started at 7:17. The other thing is in the Max Welton discussion, the attorney clarified and gave a term called a zoning lot, and that's in our minutes. I just think zoning lot, the word zoning and lot should be capitalized because that's a defined term. Other than that, those are the only comments I have, and I'm willing to accept them with those comments.
For the record, Apke was on the call.
Oh, yeah, no, Steve, I didn't say you weren't on the call. You had trouble getting in because the link wasn't working.
Oh, well, okay.
You folks that are on the phone need to identify yourselves because all I've got here is a phone number and I don't recognize voices.
Okay, so, sorry, Paul. The 847-815-6925 is Frank Scarpelli.
Okay, Frank. Should have recognized.
Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
Okay, any other mentions or changes? Can I hear a motion to approve the minutes subject to Frank's comments?
I'll make a motion that we approve subject to Frank's comment.
I'll second. Frank Scarpelli seconding.
Okay.
Scarpelli,
Yes.
Solomon,
Yes.
Meyer,
Abstain. I wasn't here last time.
Apke,
Yes.
Apke,
Yes.
Stenick,
Yes.
Bernstein, Schock, Musket. Yes. And Brewer.
Yes. Okay. Is there any public comment on items that are not on the agenda tonight? Anybody from the public with any comments?
No.
Okay, we're done with that. Now we have a meeting of the Historic Commission to discuss the certificate of appropriateness for the demolition of the commercial office building at 307 East Main Street. Would the petitioner like to make a presentation? Or his representative?
No, we would not.
Pardon?
No, we would not.
Okay? So,
Chris, oh, sorry, John, it's Brad.
Brad,
Hey, Chris,
go ahead.
Chris, do you want to just give a little background on this? What is being requested?
Okay, yeah, per the application, for the certificate of appropriateness, they had, said that they're gonna demolish the building to make it into a parking lot for their employees. And then subsequently, they had indicated that they may not do that. They may just tear the buildings down and then bring in topsoil and seed it and grass it over for the time being. So I'm not sure what direction they're actually going to go if the building's demolished.
Okay, I think we'll make that part of our, what's all the ringing sound?
I
Everybody else
unmuted.
hearing a bunch of, pardon?
I unmuted. This is Roger Shelton.
Okay.
What he just said is not even close to being accurate.
Well, Roger, would you like to make a presentation? I asked if anybody would like to.
I'm not the one that's proposing this. I don't own the property. My name is not anywhere on it. I'm not involved in the company that owns it.
Okay.
I contacted the village to ask if I were to do a parking lot on those two lots, if there was any money available for the demolition. That's the extent of my involvement in this. I was looking at acquiring the property for Bandito Barney's. I do not own it, and I do not have an interest in it. Lowell Neighbor owns it. It's an entirely separate entity.
Okay. I guess that makes it pretty easy to understand.
The request was put in by Lowell Neighbor, not by me.
Okay. Who is the owner again? Neighbor? N-A-
Lowell Neighbor, N-A-B-E-R.
Okay. And he has no, there's no representative of him here?
He's here also. But
Okay, so I have to ask advice. This is John Brewer again. Brad, what are we really doing here in your feeling?
I mean, the request we got in front of us is for demolition of that property. That is what is being presented. As Chris did indicate, we're unclear at what the use would be.
Right.
Who's
So
doing the demolition?
I'd have to defer to
But
Roger
we're
or
being-
whoever the applicant is.
Well,
it would be a vacant lot.
but we're being asked to approve something that we don't even know what it is.
Correct. Yep,
This is
I mean,
just
we're
approval.
unclear what the use is.
This is just to approve a what if.
Correct. Take down a,
Right now,
They wanna-
our request is to make it a vacant lot.
Whose request was that, Rogers?
Yes.
Well, Lowell's
Okay.
request.
So Roger, are you requesting for Lowell? Is that,
No,
Lowell's
I'm right here.
Lowell's with me.
I'm
Okay.
requesting to be a vacant lot.
okay.
And what are we gonna do with a vacant lot?
Lowell's main concern is that we're gonna have a similar situation that we have on our Jackson Street property that we own jointly, which we had vagrants moving in and living there in the wintertime. So we wanted to get the demolition done prior to the cold weather.
Is anyone else having a difficult time understanding?
Yeah, me. I
Audience?
am. The way I see it is that he wants to know if he's gonna buy this lot from Noel or what, and then turn it into a parking lot. Who's gonna turn it into a parking lot?
At this point, the parking lot has nothing to do with the demolition.
If I may, I want to speak for a minute about this application. It is
Who's
true.
this? Who's this?
Jennifer Johnson. Village
Hi,
Administrator.
Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Fine.
It is true that we were contacted by Roger, owner of Bandito Barney's, to determine whether we would assist in the creation of a parking lot on this site. As you can see, there is an application included in your packet requesting the demolition of this property in order to make it into a parking lot. Those are the exact words on the application. Following receipt of the application, we informed the petitioner, of course, that there was requirements to construct a parking lot. They have to follow village code, and we got a response that we would grass it and seed it over. So I think what we're doing is trying to get clarity here. It sounds like the petitioner is not interested in making a parking lot, rather is interested in seeding it over. So, you know, our recommendation, staff's recommendation, as included in your packet, is we need more information, and that's what I'm really hearing from the commission. We don't want to approve a demolition without knowing what we're actually going to end up with. If a historic structure in nature is being taken down in the historic district, I think the commission deserves to know how the property will end up following the demolition, and what it will look like. And that would be staff's recommendation, that we don't rule on this until we have enough information to do so.
Well, my first impression was if he's just going to tear the building down and go through that expense and throw grass around, that's going to end up to be a parking lot anyway. People are going to park there, and it's going to be a muddy mess. Unless he's going to block it off from the road so nobody can park there.
Well, I see it as though he's tearing this down so he can sell it. Is that really what's happening?
Or possibly develop it later.
Pardon?
Or possibly develop it. Right now, we don't know what we're going to do with it.
Well,
a parking lot is a possible option. Developing it is an option. We jointly own the property behind it with common east-west borders. We can do a larger development or no development. We also applied for a permit to demolish the property behind it on Jackson Street.
Okay, I don't have that application for that, do I?
That's not in the historic district. This Jackson property is not in the historic district, so you don't have to deal with that one. That's just going to be a straight demo permit. They'll just have to follow the guidelines for that one. That one's not an issue.
Okay.
And then could somebody explain to me how a building that was built in 1957 is historic? Or is it just the zoning, the district that it's in, the location?
I can't really hear that question.
He asked how is a 1956 building considered historic? It's in the district, an overlay district. That's how it's considered historic. I don't know that it is. I mean, the design is a 4-square, which was typically built between 1890 and 1940. The township has it built in 1956, so I don't know the exact age of it, other than what the township has. Perhaps if something else was built, that they would want that to look historic in the future.
So what would be not historic about an empty lot?
Okay, Roger, I got a question. At this point, you don't know what's going to happen to that property? Why not just leave the building there until you have something substantial, that credible that you're going to put in that property, or what you're going to do with it, rather than just make it an empty lot?
One, it's in disrepair. as is the property behind it. They're not attractive. Two, they're in the wintertime, people break into it and live there.
Okay, I'm sorry, in the winter time,
People break into
in
it
the
and we get
oh,
squatters.
they break it.
We
Okay,
get squatters living there.
okay.
Three, the taxes. The taxes on a lot are a lot lower than the taxes on an existing property. And the main reason is it's an eyesore.
The main reason was what?
It's an eyesore. They're ugly.
Oh, okay.
Do we have the ability as a historic commission to prevent somebody from, I guess, what's inappropriate about a vacant lot? And furthermore, I don't recall us voting to take the Brad Geertz building down. I don't recall us voting to take the Doderline lumber building down. I don't recall us voting to take the Dundee lumber building and the building which resided immediately east of that. So it seems like we arbitrarily pick people to issue certificates of appropriateness to for demolition.
Well, Dundee lumber, we never had a chance. So,
well, the portions of the building burnt, but portions of the building still remain.
Yeah.
Well, Frank, according to the village code, I can't issue a demolition permit unless you approve the certificate of appropriate. So I can't do it unless you approve it.
Okay.
I mean,
I understand you're following the rules, Chris, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just wondering why the other structures that were taken down were not didn't come before us.
Well, maybe the previous building inspector didn't follow the rules. I don't know.
Okay.
Probably. It was all prior administration following those
project. There was demolition that occurred without permits also. So that did happen. The village's recourse then could have been an injunction to restore the property. However, obviously it's hard to restore a structure that's been demolished. And I would ask, John, if you're okay with this, for Caitlin Culverson is here. She's our attorney tonight. If she could weigh in on the legality and the authority of the Historic Commission.
That'll be fine. Feel free.
Just briefly, both Illinois statutes and case law give both home rule and non-home rule municipalities the authority to regulate and zone for historic conservation. To your specific point about demolition, the East Dundee Village Code at section 153.35 requires a certificate of appropriateness anytime a demolition occurs within the historic district. So regardless of whether or not you think this may or may not be a historic building, it's within the historic district. And as village staff has said, they cannot issue a demolition permit without a certificate of appropriateness as required by the village code. And the village does have the authority to require such a certificate pursuant to the historic nature of this area.
Caitlin, is it possible for us to issue a conditional certificate of appropriateness subject to answering a bunch of questions, such as what the final determination of the site is going to be, final grading plans, you know, for the site, what, you know, who's going to be responsible for utilities, curbs, sidewalks, street repairs, hazardous materials removal, and all of that, all of that has to be approved by the proper agencies and everything like that before this can go through. And I realize we have to issue a permit.
What I think would be, what I think if the commission does not want to issue an outright approval of their certificate of appropriateness, I think the appropriate action to take pursuant to the criteria of the village code would be to deny the certificate, and then the applicant there's a procedure set forth in the village code that they then have 15 days to submit a modified application, and then you can act on that as well. But the code does require that 35 days after the application is submitted, the commission act on the application. Otherwise, it's automatically approved. So tonight, if you aren't going to approve it, the appropriate action would be to deny it, and then the applicant has the ability to modify the application and could include those additional requests. The denial, you could state the reasons for the denial, and then they could include the answers to the questions and the additional information in their modified application.
Okay, sounds like a good plan.
John, is all the items that you mentioned, are those all up and above what our building, what the building code would call for with the village, the permit?
I'm not sure, but I would think that building's got lead paint. It's probably got asbestos. It's got, you know, I don't know where the utilities connections have to happen. I read Administrator Johnson's memo, which commented about, you know, shutting them off at the mains. I think there's just a bunch of questions that relate in my mind as to all of that work. You know, it was built in 1956. I'm sure there's problems in it. And so
John, John, this is Chris Ranieri.
Yeah, Chris.
Those things will be addressed at the permit phase.
Okay.
They will have to provide, an existing topographical survey, and then a proposed, along with details of the seating and blanket that's going to go on.
Okay, firm schedule on the whole work, et cetera, all of that stuff.
Correct. As far as the demolition, they need to get the proper permitting to do that. So the disconnection of the sewer and water and anything else that would be required to demolish the building will all be handled at the permit phase.
What about the curb cuts that are existing? Do they need to be replaced if that building is demolished? Because right now there's curb cuts there, so somebody could drive into the grass area.
Yes, somebody could drive into the grass area.
Which they will.
I guess we could require that. The issue with requiring that is then it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult in the future to get a curb cut from IDOT.
Yeah, okay.
So if something was to be developed there, it would be challenging to get a permit to do a curb cut.
Okay. So I think I'm going to ask somebody to make, I don't know. Anybody else have any questions?
A few more, John, if I may.
Frank. Yep.
I guess Lowell and Roger, you're on the call. I understand this is your wish to tear the building down. You do realize that if you do build a building in the future, this commission, this same historic commission, can make you guys build something that would be in a historic nature, similar to what Tom Roser did with the medical office, where the Rocco furniture, business furniture used to be, and that. So if you take this if you leave the building, you could utilize the building and make some modifications within our historic district. But if you tear it down, the new building that goes up is going to have to take on a historic nature, which may be more costly for you guys down the road. But I don't want to tell you what to do. I'm just warning you or letting you know that any future building on that site could be made to look like it was built in the late 1800s.
I fully understand that.
Okay. That was pretty much it, John. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask somebody to make a motion that we deny this certificate of appropriateness, subject to further review as to the ultimate uses and plans for the property, and subject to the East Dundee Building Department, determining the guidelines that would be necessary to complete the demolition, complete either the non-demolition or the demolition of the project for a second review by the Historic Commission. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'll move to make that motion.
something to that effect.
Yes. I can't
Okay.
repeat everything that you said, but I make a
I know,
motion to,
neither can I right now.
I just don't have good feelings about it unless we know more about it.
Yep. Do we have a second?
I don't want to,
Second.
Okay. Pardon? Did somebody second? Hello?
Nope.
Let's get
I'll second the motion.
a little more clarity.
I'll
on
second the motion.
Is that Steve Stenick seconding? Who seconded?
Yes, Steve Stenick, second.
Maybe if, John, if you have Caitlin clarify that motion a little bit.
Sure, Caitlin, could you clarify my motion and make it better?
I can try.
Okay.
So the motion would be to disapprove the application for the certificate of appropriateness for the reason being that the village needs more clarification on the use of the property following the demolition.
Yes, I agree. We still have a motion and a
We
second
need to-
based on,
yeah, we got a motion in a second. We need to vote on it.
or discuss it.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Did those who made that motion agree to amend their motion to match?
Yes, yes,
the
oh, I'm sorry.
Does,
Who officially made the motion? I didn't.
I
Somebody
did.
Sue.
You have to agree to amend it to Caitlin's comments.
Okay,
or
I
the
agree.
village
to amend
attorney's comments.
That'll work.
I agreed to amend it to the village attorney's comments and additions to the motion.
Okay.
and the commissioner who seconded the motion, sorry, it's hard to, without seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Was it Steve?
Steve Stenick.
Steve Stenick. Do you agree to amend your motion, your second as well?
Yes, I agree to amend the motion.
Okay. Okay, now Chairman Brewer, you could have Catherine call the roll if there's no further discussion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Administrator Johnson. Catherine, could you, unless there's discussion, could you call the roll for a vote here? No
Scarpelli?
discussion? Okay.
No,
Solomon?
I vote to deny it.
No.
No.
No, that'd be
Meyer?
no,
I'm sorry, but can we just clarify
Hold it,
when
hold
you
it.
say to
Hold it.
deny
a
it?
yes or no.
The motion is to deny, so that's a
Oh,
yes
yes.
vote if you want to deny.
I want to deny it.
So if you want to deny the application, you vote yes to the motion. to
Yes.
clarify.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Meyer,
I'm gonna start over. Scarpelli?
no,
Solomon?
Yes.
Meyer?
yes,
Yes.
Apke? Stenick?
Yes.
Musket?
No.
Brewer?
Yes.
Five yeses. 2 noes.
All right. Do we get everybody vote?
I believe so.
We had 7 votes. Okay.
Hmm?
Okay, so there's no other new business? No other business?
Yes.
Yes, what?
When can we get back to normalcy and do this at the fire station or police station?
We can right now.
Could have a long time ago.
Well, let's do that. This is so awkward.
I can answer that question, and keep in mind, this is a question that has come up over and over again. So the state law does allow us to have meetings that are open to the public. So I do apologize for the inconvenience. I know it's difficult and we're all getting used to this horrible 2020 that we're facing. But we do have an emergency operations and staffing plan in place at the village. And part of that includes the closure of the police station to anybody within the public. Our primary duty is to ensure that we have law enforcement officers, and I have taken the position that I do not want anybody outside of a police officer in the police station, just for the pure sake of containing the spread of the virus within the station, which would devastate our ability to provide public safety services. So that is why we are continuing in a Zoom capacity. And again, I cannot apologize enough about it, and I sincerely wish it was different.
Jennifer, doesn't the village president and the board have to vote on that? There's nothing on the record that we're in a state of disaster, and you have to be in a state of disaster to declare that emergency. And I don't see any. The last state of emergency I saw the village president vote on was back in March, and then that was not continued on by the village board.
Unfortunately, I don't have Attorney Smith here, who has been doing that end of the work for us. Perhaps Attorney Culverson would know, but we did extend our state of emergency. We are in a state of emergency, and as such, we do have an emergency operations plan in place. As it's a public health emergency, I'm the incident commander for the village with regards to this emergency, and that's the plan that we have in place. So no, the village board does not have to vote on it, but I can certainly connect back with our with Attorney Smith and provide you with further information, unless Caitlin, you're prepared to answer any additional questions.
I can just add, that the state is in the governor has issued a proclamation of emergency, and we're all operating under his executive orders as well. The Open Meetings Act has been amended to allow for these Zoom meetings so that they can take place even without a specific disaster proclamation by even if it wasn't in place by the village. So the Open Meetings Act does contemplate these types of remote meetings to take place now. But again, if you, as my colleague Greg Smith has been more involved in that specifically with the village, he would be better to answer any specific questions about that as well.
Okay, thank you all. Maybe we'd have the meeting at Bandito Barney's just so we sit 6 at a table at the max.
There you go.
Yep.
Jennifer, is there a possible way that we can get names next to these phone numbers? That's my only problem. I don't recall voices that well, but I would like to know who's saying what.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you can get names on those, I see Catherine has a name on her phone symbol, but I don't see any other names.
Yeah, when you log in, you're either asked to enter your name, or you can actually click on your photo. There's 3 dots, and you can rename yourself. So we can do that, but it is up to the individual to rename themselves. And I should have said something in the beginning, but maybe Catherine, as the clerk, you could ask that everybody rename themselves prior to the next meeting, because I also had difficulty knowing who was talking. If you can have video, that's the best option. It's good to see everybody's faces.
Okay, this is Chairman Brewer again. If there's no other business, could I hear a motion to adjourn, please?
Chairman, I'm sorry, Chairman, can I just make a statement before we adjourn, just to the applicant, just so they know that they'll receive an official notification of the denial, and then we'll have the 15-day period provided in the code to amend the application. But as of now, the certificate of appropriateness has been denied, so no demolition permit can be issued and no demolition can take place on that property until it has been approved.
Okay, thank you. So noted.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
I'll make the motion, we close the meeting.
Second.
I'll second that.
Scarpelli,
Yes.
Holloman,
Yes.
Meyer,
That was Meyer, yes.
Apke,
Yes.
Stenick,
Yes.
Musket,
Yes.
and Brewer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
I thank
Bye.
you.